Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Coaching from the Couch. This is your Washington Commanders update, and I am your host, Candy CWall Waller, checking in as I do all throughout the NFL season to give you all the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. This is a live Bowie television recording, so everything you all see here will also be found on Bowie TV. If on Verizon, Fios, channel 11, and Comcast Xfinity, channel 77. But we're live now, you all. So if you are watching, make sure you're subscribed on the Bowie TV YouTube channel, or if you're watching through the Facebook stream, make sure you hit the love button. Make sure you share the show. We have a lot to discuss as always. When do we not? We always have a ton of things to discuss, and we're going to go ahead and just keep it rolling for sure. So I'll wait for some of you all to go ahead and join this live stream. We have a lot, like I said, to discuss. As you know, the layout of this is always centered around getting into press conferences and just dissecting it all. So once we go ahead and just go through all the things, Commanders fans, are you still feeling all of the excitement from quite a convincing win, if I may say so myself, that the Washington Commanders put on a show at Northwest Stadium? So as you are chiming in, and oh, by the way, before I forget, saying hello to Mama Waller and Pops Waller, let's be very clear. Let me go ahead and say this and make sure this is known. If the team is bad, then the Washington Commanders did exactly what they were supposed to do. So all of the, if it's a bad team, they're last, they're this, they're that, well then, okay. That's what they should be doing. That's exactly what they should be doing if that is the case. So listen, I think that folks are starting to believe a little bit about what the Washington Commanders are trying to do. And I don't even know if I mean, I know the right word is still build. We've heard recalibrate. But go ahead and drop in the chat if you thought that the Washington Commanders would be 5-2 right now. If you thought they would be 5-2 right now, let me know, because I did not have that happening. So you all, we'll go ahead and get some folks locked and loaded into the conversation. You all know I love to play this particular game, which is what's your one word? And what's your one word is, how did you feel once the Commanders, maybe it wasn't even when the Commanders won the game. Maybe it was when they went up 17-0. Maybe it was when they went up 20-0. Maybe it was when they went up 27-0. But typically, this game is around how you felt when the game was over and when the game was won. So you have to drop in the chat what you thought. And I see my cousin Donovan has joined, John Adams, Kim Perry, Cameron Mingo, all the major Commanders fans in the area. You all still have time, and while you're joining this live recording, to drop in the chat your one word, to subscribe to the channel, and share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. As you all know, like I said, the format is typically clips, and then we get into my thoughts and the show. So I see exuberant. Donovan says he was shocked when Marcus started quarterbacking. Yes, I think I might try to drop another what's your one word, because I really do want everybody to also share their one word on how you felt when Jayden Daniels got hurt. We don't do we'll get into that in a moment. What's your one word too when Jayden got hurt? Because I definitely had some thoughts. And if you follow me online, you know I had a bit to say about that as well. But with that being said, and I know that you all are keeping up with the Washington Commanders, so you already know and probably have heard on Jayden Daniels' status. But you know, we got to go ahead and get into some of these clips. So we'll just go ahead and start there on Jayden Daniels' health. Drop in the chat how you're feeling about the report of Jayden Daniels being week to week with a rib injury, and just your overall thoughts on whether or not you think he should play next week against the Chicago Bears. I know there's a lot of anticipation. The game has been flexed. We all already know that Jayden, of course, is going to want to play, but would be interested in hearing you all's thoughts and seeing and reading them as well, because, hey, we know that November is a big month in terms of division games and just moving along and about in the season. So let's go ahead and get into some of these clips. And while we're watching the clips, let me know your thoughts.
What's up, everybody? And I know the most important thing everyone is waiting on is Jayden's health. And so I'll start there and I'll update you with what I have. That's what we discussed last night. The status for Jayden we'll put down as week to week. As you guys know, it's a rib injury, and we'll take him through all the steps at practice and assess how he's doing and keep working it through that. We're hopeful he can play, but we'll also make sure to take every precautionary step and do it smartly for the player and the man. And so I want to make sure I gave you all the updates that I had, and so it's not going to be something that's going to knock him out for a long term. And so, like I said, we're going to list it as week to week. And like I said, hopefully we'll play this week and we'll take it every day of it all the way through.
Listen, I must say, after his 46-yard run, I know what I was watching, and I could see that he was hurt. And as the series continued to move on, it was just really clear. And I think there may have been on the TV version, because actually you all have not gotten an opportunity to watch the television version yet. But on the TV version, I think you all may have seen him grimacing a few times, holding on to that left side. It was obvious in game, to me anyway, that Jayden was in pain. So listen, I'm sure everyone had a sigh of relief when you knew that Jayden's mom tweeted he's fine, hashtag HTTC, and that when everyone saw him come out of the tunnel to continue on what the game. But I think that it's exactly what Dan Quinn is saying. If he can go, and like he said, they want him to play. The NFL, everybody wants him to play against Caleb Williams. Let's just be for real. But if he cannot go, he won't go. And I really want to share. We're going to continue to share these clips and these updates, because there's some questions that were asked to Dan Quinn today, even about monitoring Jayden, as well as just overall monitoring injuries overall, that I think you all really want to pay attention to this. This is different. Let's just put it on the line. Let's just put it out there. What everybody saw yesterday is already different from what you would have seen in the past by the Commanders. Not real sure. Yes, the Carolina Panthers are bad. Absolutely. I think they're probably worse than at least I thought. However, I don't think we've seen a Commanders team that could even be in a situation where a QB1 as talented as Jayden Daniels goes out of the game. The game is still in control by far. And Jayden doesn't have to come back in the game. I think that tells a story in itself, that he did not have to, right? He didn't have to. And it was still so much. And I received comments from you all. I've also just been paying attention to the pulse of the fan base, talking about different things about Marcus Mariota, just the overall system. And hey, this is when I'm like, you all, this is an episode you really might want to use your clues, and you might really want to write down exactly what we're talking about here, because there's a lot to be shared, and I do not want you all to miss the very important point of what everybody saw. And what everyone saw was that QB1 went out. And the overall production didn't go down. At first, when Marcus Mariota first got in there, we were like, whoa, here we go. But hey, kept it together. And there's a lot to be said about that. But let me go back to the clip on Dan Quinn talking earlier today about monitoring Jayden's health.
And then for decision making, you said you go with your eyes. How much will you also rely on him and where he's at? And do you almost have to temper some of that because you know how he'd want to be out there?
Yeah, that part we all know from all of us that know Jayden. Like, he is at his core a true competitor, and we wouldn't expect anything different than that. But we'll really trust our eyes, the medical staff, and like I said, we're going to make sure, John, we assess this every day and make sure when he's able to be him fully in that space, then we'll let it rip. But we'll just take it, as we're going through the whole week. We got practice to assess and movements and going through it, and then each day we'll have a better update.
So look, I think you all can take Dan Quinn at face value on this one. I do. I believe that. And I'm going to jump now to another question that Dan Quinn. And so for this episode, you all, I'm going to jump around a little bit. Most of the press conference clips, I got to set the context and set the environment and the stage for you all so that you know where you are. I'm going to go to, of course, Dan Quinn's press conference today, not the after game press conference, but the one from today. And then I'm going to go back to Marcus Mariota's press conference right after the game to kind of connect some dots while we're all using our clues. Okay. If you're just tuning in, this is from the Coaching from the Couch series, the Washington Commanders update. I am your host, Candy CWall Waller. This is a live Bowie television recording. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, hit the thumbs up. I'm going to try to get to as many comments and questions as possible. If you're watching on the Facebook stream, definitely share this show with your Washington Commanders loving family and friends. Hit the love button, and for sure, jump on in with your comments and your questions. I will get to as many as I can. I really want to play this clip next from today, as I was mentioning a moment ago, about how the team monitors injuries. I want to go to that one next. Check it out.
Yeah, I mean, you guys played it really safe with Brian Robinson and the knee injury. Obviously, it's a case-by-case basis on every player, but is there a process that you and Adam and the coaching staff go through of kind of balancing what's worth having a guy, whether it's Jayden or Brian, in the lineup for you every game versus sort of the long term for the rest of the season and beyond?
Yeah, number one, it's player driven to say it's always about them for the long term, for their health, for their career. So that's an easy one, Steve. It's about the player and making sure they can do their thing at full speed. And if they can't, like in the case with Brian a few weeks ago, we just said, you know what, it's not there, and we're not going to put you out there and not allow you to do your thing full speed. So it was the right call. Sometimes the player gets upset, but that's okay. In that instance, it was the more difficult right over the easier wrong to tell him, hey, man, it's not happening. And as much as you want this game and this moment, we're always going to do what's best for you. And that in return is also best for the team. But, that's an easy one.
Listen, can we all get a round of applause or a fire emoji or something like that in the comments to hear that? Because I already saw a comment, I think it was from Eric Jessup, about let's see if they're for real. No, these people are for real. As I said, when in using Brian Robinson Jr. as an example, right? I think I shared on the show, I said no one wanted to play more than Brian Robinson Jr. I mean, who could possibly want to play more than him? He wanted to play. But you heard Dan Quinn say it. If the player isn't ready to go, hey, and he said it out loud, hey, you might not like it, might be upset, but they're doing what's best for the player. And also, I want to go back to something I recall Dan Quinn saying back during the preseason, and it was about Jayden Daniels. And he said, we're not preparing Jayden for having a remarkable game. We're preparing Jayden to have a remarkable career. You saw that in real time yesterday. You saw it. And not only that, the team didn't miss a beat against a bad team. The team continued to do what they were supposed to do. Like I said last week, if you that mad about losing to the Baltimore Ravens, if you're that upset, let's see how upset you are in which the manner that you impose your will against the Carolina Panthers. Let's all see it. And we all saw it. So, okay, they're serious about this. I think people can take them at the face value. And as Dan Quinn said, listen, you all were watching the game. Now, one thing I know that popped up, because on the television screen in the press box, we absolutely saw, well, we saw it anyway. We saw Jayden throw his helmet, and we were like, oh, no. And I looked up. I said, did the camera catch that? Ah, yes, the camera caught it. Throwing his helmet when he had to get back off the field and go back into that blue tent. We're like, dang, caught him throwing his helmet. He's really upset. Jayden is upset. Jayden is very happy. He loves what he does. He loves every single aspect of it. He's always smiling. So to see him that upset, I was actually alarmed. I was like, oh no, this is a travesty. But thank goodness it's not that bad. It's not as bad. Want to jump now to another clip, still focused on Jayden Daniels, where Dan Quinn is talking about when Jayden got hit and kind of what he saw happening on that play.
Is the coaching point to him on that, is it okay that he cut back in the middle of the field, or what is the coaching point, I guess, to him, if there is one at all?
Yeah, he was really trying to work off the safety at first, and so to cut across his face, he was trying to go score. And so as he was getting down the field, I thought from the design standpoint it was good, and he just, kind of fell awkwardly on it. So it was not a function, Sam, in this particular case of, running in the A gap and, getting hit by a defensive tackle. It was a down the field run that in a lot of ways would have felt like a scramble if you just saw the second half of the play, not the first half.
So I had to really, on that first play. Now, I'll be honest, the play had just started. Let's go all the way back. I think the game had started about 6 minutes. It was already 6 minutes in, and the offense had just taken the field. Have y'all shown any love to the Commanders defense? Have you shown them any love at all? Because if you haven't, you should. Okay? And if you haven't, here's an opportunity to do so in the comments. All right? Dante Fowler Jr. been waiting for a pick six from anybody. Okay? I talked about this on my last episode. You almost saw it come out over the weekend where I shared, hey, Joe Witt Jr. was not happy. I told people don't be upset. And here comes Coach Joe Witt Jr. being very upset. All right? He said we got a target of 2+ turnovers a game. And we only had 1 interception in 6 games. He was kind of disgusted. And so everybody got a little piece of action. As I saw a comment, even Forbes. All right, it doesn't matter what happened with the quarterback. It doesn't matter. Emmanuel Forbes got a pick. Okay, he got an interception. Let's all be glad. Listen, I'm kind of like laughing. I was like, 6 minutes into the game, offense finally takes the field. I actually was typing up something and I looked and I said, oh, Jayden's just going to run. I said, Jayden was trying to score. But again, we're not going to replay at least my dismay when I saw him get up and he was like, oh, like could tell that didn't feel right. That's not. Mm-mm. So that's a whole nother episode. That's a whole other conversation of all of the topics and things I was saying in the press box, because I was very clear, like he is hurt. So listen, the fact that the offense didn't even have to take the field until that was pretty, and not of the fault, because the other team's offense just been on the field for so long. You know, it's crazy how the defense of pick six can really get you going. Seriously. Now, let's switch over. Now's the part where we're going to go through some clips from Marcus Mariota and then going back to Coach Quinn. So now I'm going to share some clips from Marcus Mariota after the team's win against the Carolina Panthers.
And then for you, like you said, it takes a minute to get maybe some of that rust off. What really helps settle you down?
I mean, the guys. We have an unbelievable group of players that we talk about all the time. We have a brotherhood here, and it's very unique, something that is very different from other teams that I've been on. And just that kind of belief in each other really settled me down. And from there, just went out there and played.
Listen, this is a recurring message, you all, about the connection that this team has. And for Marcus to share, it was his teammates. Of course, everybody was concerned and panicked about Jayden. Straight up. You could feel it, you could see it, you knew, but they still had a football game to play. And they have to continue on. And nobody knew what was going on. No one had any clue. They didn't know how bad it was. They didn't know anything. It's just Jayden's not out here. And he tried. Jayden really did try to go back out there, and he just, no. But in comes Marcus. And you all tell the truth now. Tell the truth now. When you saw Marcus Mariota go out there, what did you think? Drop in the chat exactly what you thought to yourself when Marcus Mariota had to go under center. Tell the truth. I want to know. Tell the truth. What did you think? And I'm going to go to this next clip.
Comforting with all the prep that you guys have done with Cliff to be able to come in there and take the reins really without flinching.
Yeah, and it's really the entire staff. Tavita, Coach Blau. It's funny I call him Coach Blau, but he's younger than me. But it's like I said, it's an unbelievable group of guys that day in and day out, we're always just trying to find ways to get better. And when you have that type of atmosphere, you feel very confident when you go into a game, and that was no different for me.
Listen, I think we all probably thought some of the same things, right? And I'm going to move into the next clip while you all continue to share what you all were thinking. But make sure you're also using your clues, because we're going to give the defense some love. We got to give Marcus Mariota some love. We got to give the offensive line some love for sure, as you all were commenting in the chat. But these here coordinators, these here coaches, they are doing a tremendous job. And I remember telling you all in a previous episode, love button, fire emoji, if you remember me saying it, for those who are returning viewers, it's this coaching staff for me, y'all, because I don't think you all know who's in this building. You better check some of these resumes. They weren't playing when they said this is who we want to be. Right? It's one thing to get the players, but it's a different story when you have the staff that can truly support these players in being the best that they absolutely can and setting them up for success. So we've got to give these coordinators some love. These coaches, these position coaches are really bringing it. It's something to see. And let me go ahead and move on to the next clip.
The offense, without Jayden, you stepped in. It seemed to just keep going well. How did you kind of feel about the game plan today, and what ultimately was this working for you guys?
Cliff and the crew did an unbelievable job. They put us in really good spots to go out there and make plays and execute. Guys did a great job of getting open and finding ways to get yards. You always feel that you leave a little out there, but I thought our guys did a great job kind of all day of executing.
Listen, I saw the comment come through from Tyrone Montgomery Jr. The coaching staff has been brilliant. You know what I can appreciate? And I might be telling my age a bit here. But he had a saying, Rich Handler from NBC Sports Washington, may he rest in peace. He had a saying, and when I first joined and started coming around on the beat 7 years ago, I remember him saying, if I can tell you anything, it's don't listen to what they say, you watch what they do. And I said, okay. But see, I'm the kind of person, this is why I play these clips, is that I say, I'm going to listen to what you say. I'm going to listen to what you're saying. And I'm going to use my own clues. And then I'm going to teach others how to use their clues. Okay? I'm going to listen to what you say. And I'm going to watch what you do. Because I want to see if it match. I think I saw Al Williams' comment about the Cardinals game, right? And I said the defense is probably like a week behind the offense. Because remember, in week 2 against the New York Giants, all those penalties, won the game with those 7-foot field goals, couldn't score a touchdown to save their lives, right? All of these issues. Cliff said we're going to fix that. Monday night game, different. Still was kind of waiting for the defense to pick it up. And we understand the levels of the team, this team, that team. Yeah. We're going to get there too. But then the Cardinals game, here we go again. Here we go. Offense. And of course, Cliff was going to come in there and he was going to do his thing, right? Especially being in Arizona. But then the defense showed up. It was that Cardinals game. Al Williams is correct. And every week you see something different. Last week, Joe Witt Jr. said, hey, we got a 2+ turnover goal. Actually, today, Dan Quinn said it's 3 turnovers. So that's the goal, 3. Oh, use your clues, 2+. Write it down. Because now what you're saying is actually what this team is doing. So you're doing something and it's able to resonate in days. Now, come on, Commanders fans. You haven't seen the team do that. You haven't. In about 30-something years. You're doing it now. Use your clues. I'm trying to tell you. And I see a question here. I think I really want to address this. I think I can get to it. Is the team camaraderie a result of the coaching staff picking the locker assignments, forcing everybody to get to know each other? I think that's a big deal. I think that they just mixed everybody up. Let me be clear about that. It was like a random assignment. It was just random. It wasn't even like you go here, you go here, you go here, you go here, you go here. So I want to be clear about that. It was just like a random drawing, a picking of where people went and where they ended up. Now on game day, it's a bit more, by position group. But during the week, it was just, random sample of who goes where. And I shared on previous episodes as well that the team did a lot of just mixing it up. Go and talk to somebody you don't know, right? And just they care about the team building aspect. I shared on a previous episode as well when they had the Navy SEALs come in and do several team building exercises, trust building exercises. And this has been a recurring theme. I shared on a previous episode where Dan Quinn, he was asked about the connection, and it was blatantly asked, have you seen a team form a relationship like this fast? And he said no. And I said, ooh, this is, but I think it also, I'm going to say this. It also, you have to have a leadership team that understands who you want to be. You have to understand and be able to clearly document and identify your culture. And you have to get people in that culture that fits what you said you want the vision for your organization to be. That's what you got to do. And you all, as the leaders and the coaches, then have to make sure you are clear on what their strengths are, what they do well, what makes them tick. But you're not going to bring them in to then force them to be who you want them to be. No. You don't have to force them to be somebody that they're not. You harness their strengths because that's where they're going to succeed and that's where they're going to be happy. I mean, it's a simple concept, seriously. It really is. You just do what they're good at and create the plays to do that. And if you have the personnel, because let's also be clear about something. Some plays, let me use your clues. Who's got a notebook and who's got a piece of paper and pen? Because I'm going to let you on a clue. There are several plays that in past games have not worked. And all they did was switch up the personnel. It's the same play. They just switched up the personnel to who it was better suited for. Novel concept. So listen, I really, and I'm going to keep saying this. Pay attention to what they're saying and watch what they do. I need to see results. Y'all haven't heard me complain about penalties that much either, have you? Because they clean that up. Now, you might hear me say a couple things. I said something last week. Y'all may have heard me on the press conference ask Coach Quinn about the DPIs on Benjamin St. Jude's because I wanted to know. But other than that, some of it just happens, right? And I see Arias, you're bringing up a point about Terry McLaurin that I want to bring up. Back during the summer, Terry McLaurin was the one that shared that through the training with the Navy SEALs, when they came out there, they developed a pledge to one another. Okay. And I dug a little deeper, and that's on a previous episode as well of the Washington Commanders update, Culture from the Couch on Boy TV. And Dan Quinn shared more about that with me, and he can't go into details, but these players came together and documented their behaviors and how they were going to treat one another, how they were going to show up on and off the field, how they were going to show up on game day, to practice, you name it. And they're holding to that pledge that they made with one another. That is what we're watching here. That is what we're watching here. And I really, it's coming together. And I'm going to move on to some more clips because I want us to continue to use our clues. And I'm going to jump to the questions that I had for Dan Quinn today, which still kind of goes into a bit of what I was just talking about. So check this out here. Again, this is from today's press conference.
Hi, Candy.
Hey there, Coach. Coaches Cliff, Tavita, and Coach Blau, what can you say about what they're building in the quarterback room right now?
I think Friday, Candy, was a really cool demonstration of that. So we finished our practice on Friday, and after that, they went over to get more 2-minute work in. And so it was Kaz and Mitch and Bryson and others, and they honestly went right down the field. So I think it speaks, one, to the importance of like getting ready, and two, it speaks to the importance of like development, and that we never stop onto that. And here, that's really a lifestyle for us, Candy. Like, it's not affected by the result of a score or that. Like, we're honestly trying to dig in to get better. And so for Cliff and Tavita and Dave to take the guys, go through a 2-minute, just, hey, these are the calls, to go through it at full speed, with some other receivers to get ready. I think that speaks to that group. No one really knew that was going on. Everybody else was, breaking down, going through, but that group had brought, 5 or 6 guys over here. Let's go through this again. Let's take another lap at this. And it was, for the benefit of Marcus, just in case this happens. And I think that speaks to readiness, and their connection together is really strong. It's nice to see Marcus and Jayden, both similar experiences coming up, older, younger, the coaches, Blau just being done, Tavita, kind of the one, bringing everyone together. So it's actually a really fun group to be around.
And I'm going to switch to the defense.
Yes.
Really, for my second question. A few weeks ago, you were sharing that you shared with the defense that they were in. So where do you think the defense in the unit is now?
You know what? I was pleased to see both on special teams and defensively tackling improving again. And that's such a big deal, Candy, because so much of the offense in the NFL is spread out and finding space. And so quite a few of the tackles that you saw, are space plays. And it wasn't just, hey, I got the sideline and I can use that as the 12th defender, but screens and bubbles and, plays that you can get space fast, and going to tackle in that spot was really a big deal. For us to get to +2 in a game to create 2, 3 is what we usually, that's the marker. If we can knock 3 out one way or another, I thought maybe we'd have a shot on one. There was one that came out on a fumble on a kickoff cover, and it went right back to the Carolina Panther guy. It added a couple more yards on the return, but I am pleased to see that mindset changing.
For everyone who is joining the show, hopefully you are a returning viewer. If you're new, make sure you're subscribed, make sure you come back. And anyone who is complimenting me on questions in the coverage, listen, just so you know a little something about me, I am from this area, tried and true. And so I've always wanted to be the change that I wanted to see. This is that. And so I appreciate, I want to acknowledge that, because I know I get comments and things of the such that folks, are enjoying the coverage and enjoying what it is that I am presenting. So thank you. Seriously, to me, it means a lot. And it means that we're going on a path. And my approach is that of what fans want to know. And that what this group of fans that mostly watch my content really want to get into and really want to understand and know more about. So I appreciate that, because you all are in real time then watching me use my own clues to draw, conclusions on what I believe that I am seeing. So I'm glad you are enjoying it. I know, yes, there was a question that came up about Brandon Coleman, and it is just that he is now in concussion protocol. So Dan Quinn shared that during his press conference today. He's in concussion protocol. So we all know how that goes. It depends on the grade of the concussion and, severity of it. So that is kind of just got to see how it rolls and see how it goes. And we'll just, of course, as always, get well soon to Brandon Coleman. He's having a phenomenal rookie season. And so definitely we'll miss him out there, of course, while he is out. I really wanted to ask Coach about what he's seeing from the defenses in terms of what's gotten better and just what the quarterback coaches are building. Again, this game was bigger than you think. Yes, it was the Carolina Panthers. We all know they're so bad. Yep, yada, yada. Then you did what you were supposed to do. And to be able to do what you're supposed to do with the backup quarterback, I'm going to continue to say it. I don't care what the record is of that team. To be able to do it still means something. And I'm going to get into now 2 more of Marcus Mariota's clips from after the game. One, it talks about what we were just talking about on what's different here, meaning with the team currently, and on the game plan for this week. Make sure you have your notepads and your pens out, folks, because this is definitely a use your clues moment. Check it out.
I was just about to ask you, you just said that this was different if you can take the winning part out of it. What exactly is different about this group?
Man, it comes down to guys just enjoy being around each other. Guys hang out in the locker room. Guys are enjoying going to work. It's a tough sport we play. There's a lot of pressures day in and day out. But I think we have such a good core group of guys that understand that. And when you step in the building, man, it's enjoyable. It's fun. And when you have that type of atmosphere, everyone is just kind of going in the same direction. It's really cool to be a part of.
And I'm not there all day when I'm there, but the time when media is allowed to be there in the building, I can tell you everybody looks like they enjoy coming to work. And it's things to enjoy, right? And you have people that are in the building and that are there that are on the same page. This goes back to the point I was making earlier about defining who you want to be. What is your organization's culture? What is your vision? What is your mission? Who are we? And everybody there being on the same page. It is a big deal to establish that up front so that everybody's not going to get a spot on the roster because it's just not that many, that's not that many roster spots. But those that fit what they are trying to do and what they are seeking, yes, this is what this looks like. And go ahead and drop in the chat if you can believe that the Commanders are 5-2. Did you have that on your bingo card in August? Did you? Tell the truth. Because y'all been telling the truth so far, so good on this one. On this one. Tell the truth. 5-2. Did you have it on your bingo card? I didn't have it on mine, and I'm okay with admitting that. That's fine. But did you? I didn't. And while you're admitting and deciding on whether or not you're going to tell the truth about this whole you had him at 5-2 or you didn't thing, let me share this clip about the Week 7 game plan.
What, if anything, changed about the game plan when you went in?
Nothing too specific. Really, when it comes down to it, it's just trying to execute what the game plan was, and nothing for us really changed. And what's very interesting for me is kind of day to day during the week, we as a quarterback group are talking about situations and scenarios all the time. So regardless if it's me, if it's Jay, if it's Jeff, or even Sam, like we all kind of have an idea of what this is supposed to look like. So when we can just step in, we understand what the plan is and we can just go play.
Did you write it down? Do I need to play that clip again? Let me know if you need me to play it again. I'll play it for you. If you missed that very, very important point. There are 4 quarterbacks on the Washington Commanders. And you just heard one of them share publicly that they all know what this is supposed to look like. Now, I know for a fact y'all ain't never heard 4 quarterbacks on the Washington anything say that. You have not heard that. You have not heard that. Let me know if I need to play the clip again, because I did allot some time in case that was one you needed to hear a second time. Just keep that with you. Just keep it with you. Just keep it with you. Keep it close. And while you keep that close, you think about a few things, because I can tell you what comes to mind. What comes to mind is what we all watched. And that was still a very, for the most part, right? When once Marcus got into it, right? A very efficient and effective offense. You still saw that. You still saw the ball spread around. You still saw that too. You saw them get into run. You saw the tight ends getting some work. You still saw the wide receivers getting some work. You still saw everybody involved. You still saw it. It was the same. Everybody understands their assignment. Everybody understands what they're supposed to do. And here's the reality. If you really have an organization and a coaching staff that is truly skilled at what they do, and they understand their assignment, it really shouldn't look too much different. It should not. The game plan is the game plan. And no one's going to go scrambling to try to figure something out to work for you and you and you in the case of a nuclear option has to take place because your starter got hurt. Oh, the luxury, because as far as I'm concerned, it's a luxury, to be able to keep your QB1 out when maybe he could have gone in. It sounds like, is it an injury or are you hurt? It sounds like in one of those conversations, are you hurt or are you injured? One of those things. It sounds like could have been a little hurt. Could have came in if he needed to. The luxury of not having to. Now, to Isaac Ward's point here, there was no panic. Exactly right. There was concern. But that was just teammates being concerned for Jayden's health. Like, are you okay? Is he okay? He just threw his helmet. Jayden is always happy. He's always happy. I mean, he's serious, but he's always happy. He's a jovial person. He enjoys and he loves what he does, and you're going to feel that energy. So when you see somebody that has such positive energy all the time, toss their helmet or slam it on the ground, that's not a good sign. So now everyone is concerned about his health, but please do not misconstrue their concern for his health as panic on what was about to happen in this football game. There was no panic. They already knew what was going to. They were down a path and they were going to continue on that path. And they just wanted to make sure their brother was okay. That's all. Because he's never upset. So he's upset. He's mad. And everybody's now worried. Right? But when Commanders fans, come on. Tell the truth. Tell the truth again. When have you ever? When was the last time, truly, you saw that? Regardless of how bad the team is on the other side. Regardless of that. When has that happened in this manner? This is similar to taking the starters out in the fourth quarter against the Cleveland Browns. Remember that? There's been a couple of games, and that was one of them, where the starters were like, well, what's going on? Why can't we go play? Oh, y'all good. Come on, sit down. Relax. Or was it Arizona? I think it was Arizona. When they started taking starters out on defense, and they were like, well, what did we do wrong? Nothing. You've done everything. You're all right. Just stand here and stay calm. I mean, you beating them. It's 42-14. Why are you upset? So you're continuing to see signs of things that people do or teams do when they feel like they're well positioned for success. Use your clues. I just gave you several. Love button, fire emoji if you caught all the clues I just dropped. Like, does everybody understand what they're watching each week? Because I think I do. I think I see what they're saying here. Because what they're saying and what they're doing is starting to look a lot alike. And okay, I got you. Now let's go into Dan Quinn's comment on Marcus Mariota. Check this out.
So, Dan, to some degree, this is why you guys go out and get a Marcus Mariota, somebody who has this experience. Does the fact that he has the same sort of, or not the same stuff, but like has that mobility, was that ultimately like a big factor to have somebody who has a similar style? I guess it came before Jayden, but you know what I mean? Like somebody that has a similar style to what you were looking at.
Yeah, I know what you're saying, Ben, on that. And I think what it also shows is, like, we take that part, really important. We hate that these, types of injuries happen, and, God forbid when they do, you want to make sure you're absolutely, ready to deliver in that space. And Marcus is that type of player. And as much as you don't want those injuries to happen at any position in the NFL, we know it does. And so for him to step into that space, it was an important win. Certainly not a great one with, players being injured, but it was an important one. And on the sideline, you can see the support that Marcus got, from his teammates. And I think that goes a long way of being ready and all the things that happen when no one's watching. The staying after practice, going through a 2-minute to get ready, and sure enough, it happened right before the half to go down the field on a 2-minute. He literally had done that on Friday, Ben, post-practice with a bunch of guys and going through to get full-speed reps. So it's funny how those things, come up and you're ready and you're able to deliver. So that's Marcus, being ready when called upon.
How many people needed to apologize to Marcus Mariota? I did. I mean, at least for yesterday, at least for week 7. I did. Apologize to a lot of people for my reaction to all of it. Because I'm using my clues and then I'm teaching you all what to do. Right? Like, hey, this is how I'm, enjoying, and I'm making notes too, like, whoa, this is different. This is very different. And I want to jump quickly to this question. And we got still so much to discuss, right? Because we got to continue on this use your clues path. And we still got to talk about the Bears coming up, right? But I'm going to do another episode later in the week for you all to sink your teeth into that. But want to share this from the question to Dan Quinn on Marcus Mariota's superpower. And when you hear Dan Quinn's answer to this, just for everybody that was so concerned about him running and what's happening and what's going on, check out this response from Dan Quinn on what's Marcus Mariota's superpower.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Hi, Dave.
What would you say is Marcus Mariota's superpower?
I would say his ability to improvise. When he gets outside the pocket, there were some plays that looked like Austin Stadium out there on last night. There were some plays where he used his legs to extend plays, and there was also some ones like in that 2-minute drill to get outside the pocket, and he would really rip some in. So it could be 2 plays with him easily. The first play that would begin, and if he sees something and he feels the knack to get outside on a drop back play, he'll do that. And so that to me is it's his legs that he really has the speed and the acceleration outside of it. And in the shotgun, that's really where he feels the most comfortable. He's got a huge background of that, as you know. So that would be the superpower to me, the extension of plays.
So for everybody who had any questions about Marcus running and what he was doing and what's happening and why they calling this and why they doing that, hey, listen, you got to wait sometimes for the play to unfold. And you got options out there. So you don't see your first option immediately. You don't see your second option immediately. You might not even see your third option immediately. So things doesn't always work out the way that it's planned. But then when you hear the head coach say some of the things that people are complaining about is actually this person's superpower, you say, oh, he's doing what's familiar to him, and he's doing what is actually his strength. This is where he's most effective. And if he didn't see option 1, 2, 3, and he's got to extend this play and get what he can, that's what he is doing. Use your clues, write it down. Dan Quinn just gave you an answer. Now this next one, you definitely want you want to write this down. I'm telling you. Dan Quinn on having a backup quarterback with similar capabilities, and come to find out, all of them have these skill sets, all 4. If you missed that clue, pick it back up, because now you know why they got 4 quarterbacks. Use your clues, okay? We're here to help. I am here to help, seriously. Check out Dan Quinn's response to this question.
So, Coach, you talked about how Marcus Mariota's scrambling ability and his speed is really an X factor for him on the offense. But when you're talking to Cliff Kingsbury, how important is it to have a backup quarterback who has a similar skill set to what Jayden Daniels is able to do, so that you're not having to completely overhaul your offense when Jayden goes out?
Yeah, and I think Marcus might have even been the one that referenced it, Liam, that Jeff also has a lot of similar traits. So when we're in practice, you could see, oftentimes on the scout team, whether it was Marcus or Jeff, and they're running plays, we'll call it the same, just like we do on our own offense. So if a team, like for instance, when we were playing for Baltimore, they have some plays that we have. And so we would call it with Jeff, with Marcus, and I'm not going to call it a free rep, but it's a similar play. And every chance, Liam, that you can get to continue to work your skills as a quarterback, it's the hardest position there is. And so we find all these little margins, post-practice, pre-practice, during special teams, to keep working that. And so all 4 of those guys, between Jayden and Marcus and Jeff and Sam, man, they really put the work in. And you find these little margins, these little windows to work on a specific skill, and they all have their own specific work-ons. But it is really important because the system doesn't change. Now, if all of them were in, we wouldn't call it exactly the same way. If any of us had a playbook, we would feature it a little bit differently with each quarterback. So, but by and large, it's mostly the same.
Listen, is everybody using your clues? Is this helpful? Is this conversation helpful? Because I find it to be helpful. So I say, you know what? I'm getting the clues. I'm going to help others. So I hope this is helpful. And I hope you all didn't miss this comment, because it is a very important comment. I'm glad someone else said it so that I didn't have to. Okay? I'm glad I didn't have to say it. Someone else said it. They're using their clues. They're using what they know works and has worked for others as well. I hope this is helpful. Now, the next couple of questions I think are great there from my colleague from Donna Hopkins. So check out these questions. And think I got another one. I think I'm gonna play this one. I'm not sure. It depends. It depends on how you all comment. If I want to save this one for the Bears episode or do it tonight. But I am going to share this next clip because Donna Hopkins asked some great questions today as well. That's going to help us to use our clues even further.
Hey, Coach.
Hi, Donna.
7 games into the season, where are you starting to see the development showing the most on this team?
Boy, that's a good question. Off the field, I would say I'm really feeling, Donna, this team's connection for one another. And it was interesting, here being alumni weekend last weekend, Doug spoke to the team on Saturday morning. And he was talking about the team that he was on and their connection, and after practice staying in the locker room and doing things together. And he saw that with this team. And I think they've fast-tracked some things where they were able off the field to connect more quickly. On the field, I've liked our play style. And you know me, I've said this for a while. It doesn't happen in short order to get this, but I do feel like these guys really want to play tough. They want to play physical, and they want to finish blocks, and they want to finish plays. And those are things that we have to do over and over again till it becomes an identity. But I do feel that, and it's coming. And now can we take it another level up? Can we take it another level up? And if we continue to do that, then I think that's when it'll be where we're fully able to express ourselves and how we want to play. But on the field, that's the thing that I'm really seeing come together. And that makes me really proud to know that they are really going to fight for one another.
And the other question is on defense. As far as Johnny Newton, what did you see from him yesterday? And also Dante Fowler. You know him well.
Yes.
I mean, he seemed like the last couple of weeks he's really been making a lot of noise on the field.
Yeah, he's really made some impactful plays, and he was the one to really set it off last night, you know, with the interception and the return. We were fortunate that Payne was running right down the sideline with him to be his escort into the end zone, because it was getting close as we were getting towards the end zone. But it was really cool to see Dante make that play. He made a 4th and 1 stop, and he's always had excellent instincts, Donna. And so falling back to find the screen, making a play on a short yardage play, that's quintessential Dante, where he's got instincts to know when to come inside, when to stay outside. And him, you know, being healthy and able to really do his thing, I was really proud of him for the game yesterday. And, we celebrated him in the locker room afterwards, had a lot of fun with that.
I thought it was really cool, as DQ mentioned, Deron Payne running down the field with Dante Fowler Jr., right? And you all have heard me talking about the merging of two different cultures, right? This new one with kind of new guys coming in, and the previous culture, right? It's almost split in half with those from the previous roster and those that came in this year. And I thought that was almost a perfect moment to kind of just look at these two veterans who've played on rival teams, right? Running down, just that moment is clear to me and an example of what they're building in the connection. Is so much of them just rooting for each other, being really super excited for one another every single play. And I think that this is just now the middle of the season. And barring any injury, right, I think that this is a team that wants to go far, and they want to go far together. And keep using your clues and keep watching, because I'm believing the eye test. And when my eye test and my ear test what they're saying, and my eye test, when it's all linking up, I'm like, okay, this is good. And people got their eyes on the Commanders. You all know I said this a couple weeks ago. I said, hey, listen, the world is watching for all of the right reasons. And let me tell you something. For washed up Marcus Mariota, if anybody, I'm going to tell you who put the world on notice, in my opinion, the league on notice. It was this coaching staff. And I'm going to reflect back to week 1, and I may bring this up again and use your clues. Before week 1, I asked Coach Kingsbury what was he looking forward to the most in getting the season started as the team's offensive coordinator. And he made a comment, of course, about Jayden and just the offense and the different players. And he said, I know that everybody's going to be watching this world-class coaching staff. And they are quite impressive, if I must say so myself. They are quite impressive. And yes, people say all the time, well, he got fired from here, fired from there, this, that, and the third. Well, hey, listen, it's a tough league. The sports industry and other is a tough environment. And yes, they get fired and all of that. But the key is this. Did you learn from your failures? Did you learn from that moment? And are you able to then apply what you've learned to future moments? Up next for this team is another team that's got a lot to prove, the Chicago Bears. Truth be told, especially if Jayden is able to play, and even necessarily if not, in my opinion, next week with Caleb Williams coming back home to the area and being under center for the Chicago Bears, and just this team, both teams, the Bears were on a bye, so they'll come in 4-2 simply because they want to bye, right? And the Commanders are sitting at 5-2, and that's going to be a battle. Now, this was going to be a battle. Both of these teams want to win. Montez Sweat will be back. Assistant coach Jennifer King will be back. And listen, everybody wants to win. Nobody wants to lose. And both of these teams got something to prove. They want to go far. And it's going to set the tone for both in how they go into their second half of the season. And where they want to be positioned for success in closing out the regular season and hopefully playing into January, potentially February. And so this is one to watch. I will be taking notes, watching film. I'll put out an episode later in the week. So this is definitely this is a ride. And I'll tell you, yesterday was a wild emotional roller coaster, right? Because Jayden getting, the first defense getting a pick six, and everybody's been waiting for something to happen. So the defense getting a pick six, Jayden getting hurt, Marcus kind of easing into, just the pace of the game and getting the kinks out and then rolling, and the team continuing to rock was like, Okay. Wow. And so keep using your clues, you all. Keep again, barring any injury, we will continue to see what happens here. Because I think the reality is this, so many times people talk about, the whole truth is when you're just the next man up, it's not supposed to be that much of a drop off. It's not supposed to be that much of a drop off. Is there a drop off? Well, yes, because they're not even the same people. But I'm sure if a lot of these coaches will tell you the depth, and that was one of the questions going back to when defensive coordinator Joe Witt, his introductory press conference. Don't make me go back because I will. Pull those receipts. Because I distinctly asked Coach Joe Witt about depth and how important it was. If somebody goes down, because somebody's going down, you don't know who it is, but somebody is. So if somebody goes down, how do you keep the momentum? How do you keep the high level of play and intensity? And he talked about the Green Bay team that he was a part of, where they had to dig deep. They had many injuries that year. They had to keep rolling at the same level of intensity. So these are coaches who have been through some things. And every single game is an audition for everybody involved. So you want to always look your best because everybody's always watching. So to see what this coaching staff is pulling together and seeing the impact on the team, this has been a good thing, a very good thing. You all, thank you for joining me, because you could be watching Monday Night Football and you're not. You're here with CWall. And I appreciate that as we do a deep dive into week 7. Can you believe week 7 is already wrapping up and we're getting into week 8? So the season is rolling right along, everybody. The season is rolling right along. And I'm so glad that you all are here to roll along in the season with me. So make sure you all share Bowie TV, this channel. There's so much other content here. It's not just sports, you all. There's so much else here as well. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are following on X and all of the other channels as well, and keeping up with my Commanders content, because as always, I try to give you all the latest and greatest information on the Washington Commanders. All right. So listen, thank you all for hanging with me on this live, and I'll be seeing you all again soon.